Galimera, Galimera, Galimera. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And I do apologise for those people who are thinking, Ginge, what the hell's going on? You're up early this morning for our time frame. Yes, I know. Jane has been up at the crack of dawn, literally, because she's got a very busy day today. She's guiding up at the shipwreck. She has 260 people that she's taking today to go and see the shipwreck, and they're going to be spread across 7 coaches. She's not doing it all on her own, but I was quite shocked at the amount of people that they're still getting on trips up to the shipwreck. So she's got a very busy day there with that, and not only that, she's also meeting flights as well this evening as well here in Zakynthos with new arrivals. So for her today, it's a long day, and it's her day off tomorrow. So yeah, what a season Jane is having in comparison to myself at the moment, bless her. But anyway, here's the little cats on the balcony at the moment. It is so hot today. Just quickly give you the weather forecast for today. From the lovely Amanda. She says, Ginge, Monday's weather this morning, it's still yellow alert for extreme high temperatures, very sunny and hot. Temperatures 34 degrees. It's going to feel like 36, so it's just a little bit cooler on the other day, but not by much. And she says, have a great day. Also, can I just say thank you to all those people who tuned in yesterday to the Northern Soul show. Thank you very much for that. I've had no more information on Wiggy. I did phone his wife yesterday, but no change at the moment. He's still in the ICU. Hopefully today, Monday, obviously we might get some more information as to how he's getting on. So once again, it was Wiggy's playlist that was played in yesterday's show, and thank you for all the kind comments on that broadcast yesterday over Wiggy's playlist. Some fantastic tunes, and thank you for the little messages that were sent in support of him as well. Right, let's have a quick look then at what flights we're expecting today. We've got one flight in from Bratislava. We've got 2 flights in from the Czech Republic. We've got 2 in from Italy, 1 in from Poland, and 1 in from Amsterdam. So at the airport today, Monday seems to be quite quiet. Right, let's just switch the screen round. As you can see, the weather today is glorious. The little cats are just all chilling. It's been so hot for them and for myself, to be quite honest. I've got to go buy some more Coca-Cola today. I've drunk it all over the last 24 hours. Anyway, COVID infections in the last 24 hours. Again, things are on the decline, which is good. We had 375 new infections reported on my last report. That has now dropped to 236 new infections across the country. 7 new cases were identified in ports of entry into the country. That is up from the 4 on the previous reports. 2 new cases in Corfu, no new cases in Kefalonia, no new cases have been reported here in Zakynthos, which is good. That still leaves us with 7 cases for the month of June. When it comes to deaths, unfortunately, that has crept up just a little bit. We did have 12 deaths reported the other day. I'm afraid it's 18 new deaths across the country, and my condolences to those families affected. That brings the death toll now to 12,646. The average age of those people passing away is 79 years of age, and 96% of those had some form of underlying health problems or were over the age of 70. When it comes to ICUs at the moment, that is actually down, which is good. So critical cases in hospitals are down across the country. We did have 238 critical cases. That is now down to 231, 153 male and 78 female. Once again, the average age of critical patients is 67 years of age. 83% of those have underlying health conditions or are over the age of 70. Right, okay, let's look at today's news then. Right, interesting news report today. The Public Hospital Workers Federation, or POEDIN, they who have bemoaned that medical staff are being unfairly targeted with inaccuracies over its opposition to the mandatory vaccination of health and welfare workers. Anyway, it said medical staff are participating massively in the vaccination of their own volition. Also, it's been said it is the social group that has the vast majority of vaccinations, reaching 90% of people within their group who have had the vaccine. It also said that the Federation added that health professionals strictly observe personal protection measures, and if they do fail to do so, they are strictly disciplined by their relevant bodies within their organisation. It also added that the pandemic has taken a heavy toll on their profession, noting that 27 colleagues have died during the coronavirus and their deaths was not characterised as a work accident. So basically what they're saying is that they've lost 27 people who've been doing the job of vaccinating, working in hospitals, treating people who are sick, and these incidents are not being categorised as a work accident. So I think in the eyes of the law, that means that they don't get anything in the way of compensation in any way for that happening in the way that you would get money if you had some accident at work. Anyway, they did say, and they ratified this very concisely in their statement, they said, we are against the obligation to vaccinate health and welfare workers, making it obligatory. It says it violates the constitutional freedoms and individual rights. And do you know what? I'm pleased to hear that the health workers who are at the front line of this are also saying we want the choice whether we have the vaccine or not to continue to do our jobs. It's a risk that we are prepared to take, and we leave it up to our members to decide that they want it. They don't want it to be forced upon them either by the government or by people above them in the organisation that they work for, or to be given threats that they will lose their job if they don't have the vaccine. So can I just say, congratulations to those workers, to Pondi, for making that statement and making it very clear as well that it should be your right whether you have the vaccine or not. It's up to you to make that decision. Now, interestingly, straight after that was put out in the national media, a story then came out that said more than 8 million vaccine doses have been administered in Greece, a country with slightly less than 11 million residents. Now, according to official data published by the imavu.gr, the number of vaccinations reached 8 million on Saturday, with 3 million people fully vaccinated. On Saturday alone, 103,090 people were vaccinated despite the heat wave. At the same time, experts warn that a very likely spread of the Delta variant of a coronavirus, which originates in India, is probably going to come. Elias Mossel, a former minister and professor of health policy at the London School of Economics, told Greek Sky Channel that it is certain that this mutation will become prevalent in Greece, and the thing is how long authorities can delay the inevitable. Molasses added that the European Central for Disease Prevention and Control has said that the Delta mutation will prevail by the end of August in all EU countries and will account for 90% of all new cases. He also further went on to say that this fourth wave of the pandemic will hit those not vaccinated yet, including children and those with suppressed immune systems for whom taking the vaccine will not be enough. A third vaccine dose for this latter category should be administered sooner rather than later, he said, adding that other vaccinated people should have few problems. So there you go. 1 minute, somebody says, make your choice whether you have it. And then in the next minute, you then get a reinforcement from other authorities saying, vaccinate, vaccinate, vaccinate. But anyway, I leave that up to you, your decision. You know my feeling on it, but I will take my chances. Now, interestingly, something that has been noted and is the way that the cost of living is going up at the moment, and the way that food and other essential items seem to be rising in prices. Now, the president of the Athens Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Konstantinos Michalos, commented on the continuous rise of prices of bare necessities, speaking to Hermes news media here, who did not fail to say that they send a message of courage and strength to his colleagues in Zakynthos. Anyway, this issue is related to the increased prices recorded in raw materials. A recent survey by the EBE has been concerned, and everyone is concerned, that the increase in basic necessities will continue. It is noted, Hermes said, that for many months it has pointed out the problems that have been identified in food prices, and their constant rise creates serious problems for families and low incomes, but also extends to professionals as well. Now, Mr. Michalos stated to Hermes, "We are going through a critical period for the Greek and the world economy. The pandemic is gradually escalating. However, the course of recovery is accompanied by serious upheavals. Lately, we have seen the strengthening of global inflationary trend. This is causing serious problems in the market. The problems are more pronounced in economies such as Greece, which is heavily dependent on imports. The increase in international prices in a number of raw materials, but in a wide range of business activities, amounts to a double-digit percentage. It concerns basic products and services such as food, energy, transport, constructions, and the results from the research conducted by EVA." Now, I've got to be honest, we got a letter the other day from our electricity company. Now, I've been going on about how fantastic the post office electricity scheme is. And when I went to the post office the other day to basically pay a bill, the guy in the post office said to me, be warned now, the good days of cheap electric through the post office, those days seem to be numbered. There's talks of increasing electricity by up to 30%, which is a heck of a increase in price. And he even said, listen, if you need to change your electricity supplier to somebody else, he says, I've got no problem with that. But this seems to be something that's going to occur across the board. So it doesn't matter where you go, everybody's going to get hit with this 30% increase. And also, when you look at what's going on with the way the country is being run, and also the Prime Minister, Mr. Mitsotakis, he's pushing through all these bills, etc., changing states of employment and things like that. You also feel that a lot of this, because all he talks about is money saved and about how good the strength is going to be on the Greek economy, you just have a feeling that prices is being raised and more is being asked of people to pay through living. And I'm not talking about through taxing, but just through living. That again is helping to pay for what's gone on with the pandemic, but in a subtle way, in the way that extra costs being added to business and industry is obviously going to affect you in your pocket, because trust me, it'll be you that will be paying those bills. But anyway, going back to the article from Hermes, for the continuous increases, Mr. Michalos said, he added that this something else that is very serious. He said it is not only increasing prices that create problems for companies, as we also have unrealistic increase in the cost of shipping for container transport from Asia to Europe and also America. He said there has been an increase of 525%. It is something completely absurd and is not based on any logic, although various excuses are put forward, such as overcrowding in ports of USA, China, etc. Now, he used a word which I had to actually look it up, all right, because hadn't heard of this before, I'm not an economist, all right? He used the word, it is an oligopolistic, okay, which means a state of limited competition in which a market is shared by a small number of producers or sellers. So therefore, opportunistic behavior of the big shipping companies, but that tends to be permanent. So what he's saying is that it's a small number of producers and sellers, and they can only go to these people to get stuff moved. I know people will say there's a bit of Brexit thrown in with this as well, especially for stuff coming out of the UK, being able to pass through Europe and arrive here in Greece. And I know certain people who buy stock from the UK, and they've had terrible difficulties trying to move stock over since obviously Brexit came into play. But it's not only that from that end, it's also from the fact that from a country like China, which has its own port here, actually in Greece, they're still taking the opportunity to boost the prices and giving excuses like, well, we're having problems with storage and moving stuff. You'd think that it would be cheaper, but somehow, no, it's not. It's become more expensive. Anyway, he also said, but for our country, the president of the Athens chamber said, the long-suffering Greek economy, which is fragile after the memorandum, that's basically the fallout, is in a strong inflationary trend. Our economy depends on imports, and this is the mistake this is a mistake of governments over the last 30 years. To be honest, I've always said this. One thing that impressed me about Cyprus was that Cyprus could near enough make anything that it needed, anything that it wanted. The only thing that it couldn't do was to produce motor cars and electrical goods, which they would obviously import. Greece itself has had a lot of business run down for just the basic things of life. You know, when it comes to things like ketchup and mustards and stuff like that, there should be more homemade items that would stop the need of imports. And to be honest, successive governments have not encouraged people to produce stuff within the country rather than import it from abroad. Some of it, you could actually say, it could be down to the public. Because they got certain tastes. They only want the English HP sauce, not a Greek equivalent made. I'm using that just as a sort of a comparison, where again, the country could easily make its own mayonnaise, make its own stuff like this. And this is just in the food area, which would obviously mean you wouldn't have to import as much. And if you did import something, obviously you're going to pay a higher cost for it because of the taxes improved. He also said as well, our economy depends on imports. This is a mistake of governments of the last 30 years. There is a deindustrialization of the Greek economy, and with imports, we suffer more. Here, the government must take care by giving incentives and tax reliefs in order to reduce the burden on the final price of the product. So what they're saying, the Greek government will be better off to invest in people who want to produce stuff within the country rather than import it. Give those people who want to open a factory to make whatever it is that they want to make for the market here, and they should be given incentives to be able to go ahead and do that. But I also look at it from the point of the Greek government. They'd rather see hard-earned cash coming in that they can obviously exploit by charging for importation. That's a cheaper win for them because they're not paying anything out. They're just taking what comes in. Whereas some of the money that is wasted would be far better given to somebody within the country who wants to start a business, wants to start something up, and be given the opportunity to do so. And I think there needs to be more looking towards doing that. And we said this back in 2008 at the height of of the collapse of the Greek economy. Not enough is being done to stimulate industry within the country rather than bringing it in from outside and charging those people from outside coming in top dollar to do business, which some of them just basically didn't want to do. And some of them certainly didn't want some of the industrial practices that the country also has in the way of unions, etc., etc. So anyway, he said that people see the buzz of increases on the supermarket shelves. This is something visible to consumers. He basically reflecting the fact that, are we going to start to see gaps on these shelves now? Or we're noticing, as we've noticed, that the price of everything seems to be going up when you're going to buy your weekly shop. All right. Anyway, asked about tourism. He said, he added to the comment on the negative reality caused by tourism by the decision of the British government. Obviously, he says, our biggest concern for the tourism industry is the development in the UK. Despite the expectations that have been created for the resumption of tourism, the funny thing was that we opened but without tourists. We brought to the Ministry of Tourism a comprehensive, cost-effective program to strengthen domestic tourism. So obviously they're saying as well, we need to look within our own. I remember the days when ICA used to give people a holiday. You could get a free holiday from ICA, and as long as you were taking it within the country, and there are incentives, etc., to take holidays within the country, something that I think has gone by the way now to save money. But it's an interesting thought that, again, encouraging Greeks to spend more time within their own country and move around in their own country and spend time and re-stimulate the tourism season there. He also said, let's hope that Great Britain will mobilise the mechanisms for Greece to enter the green so that in July and August we can save what we can. So again, they're still waiting for the UK to obviously change the status of Greece, even though in amber you can still come. Technically, you don't need to quarantine when you go back. However, things like that may change, and we'd rather be on the green where we know we're safe. Anyway, finally, for the head member of the Zakynthos chamber, Mr. Michalos said, I wish courage and strength to the colleagues of the Zakynthos chamber. That's the Chamber of Commerce. We remain moderately optimistic that the chamber institution is always by their side to promote the just demands of the entrepreneurship in any government. And finally, I'd like to thank Greece's bulletin board for this one. This was hot on the press this morning. British travellers to Portugal who are not fully vaccinated against coronavirus must quarantine for 14 days on arrival from today. Yeah, anyone travelling to mainland Portugal by air, land or sea will have to prove that they have had two COVID-19 vaccines at least 2 weeks before they travel, or they will have to isolate. The new rules introduced by the Portuguese government, not by the British government, by the Portuguese government, came into effect today and will last until at least the 11th of July. They state that the quarantine can be at home or a place indicated by health authorities. Now, Portugal is currently on the UK's amber list, which means passengers also have to isolate for 10 days when they arrive back in Britain. It was taken off the green list, which doesn't require passengers to quarantine last month over the concerns about a rise in cases. You might remember that Portugal was hosting football at the time. They were allowed to host that, and then all of a sudden they went from hosting the football onto the amber list after being on green. All a little bit unfair, I thought, for Portugal. Anyway, Germany is also trying to get the European Union to ban all travellers from the UK, regardless of whether they've had the vaccine or not. Anyway, let's pray that this doesn't happen here in Greece. And also a question I asked myself, is Germany going to ban their fans from Wembley tomorrow when England plays Germany? And also when we see all the VIPs for the football all being trotted out and the double standard hypocrisy there, we'll see how that plays out as well and what Angela Merkel's reaction is going to be that. And you know what? It just makes England want to win the game even more. All right. Right. So that's the news for today. I see a few people tuned in at this unearthly hour. So I think most people will be watching this on catch up. Marie Hallberg says, good morning, Ginge. Have a lovely day over there in Sweden. Thank you, my darling. Lina Sobaski. That looks like a Polish name, that does. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. I'm going to give you a wave back. Graham Iggleston, Mr. Iggy from beatsradio.co.uk. He's tuned in as well. Thank you for tuning in. Also, Dave Matthews says, had a great birthday. Going home today. It's raining. Bless you. Also, big shout out to Rossi's place, my old mate over there in Melbourne, Australia. Rossi! Nice to have you tuning in, big buddy. I don't know what time of the day it is where you are at the moment, but nice to have you tuning in. And I've also seen the craziness that's going on in Australia at the moment. But I've got to be honest, I do love Australian Sky. They're nothing like UK Sky. Australian Sky, for the coverage they've been doing of the pandemic and of Biden, I think fantastic reporting from Australia. So once again, if you ever tune in on YouTube, just have a look at some of the broadcasting that's going on from Australian Sky. It's really, really excellent. Also, as well, Cherry Stott is looking in from the top end of the island over at Porter Rocks away. Nice having you looking in as well, my lovely. Let's have a look. Anybody else? Oh, and Lyndon from Wales says, good morning from Cardiff. Very wet and rainy here today. I know you've had your date changed again for your trip over here to Zakynthos. You will get here, mate. Trust me, you will get here at some point, all being well. But anyway, thank you for tuning in. Today is a busy day for me. It's also almost the end of the month. Can you believe it? We're not far off the end of the month now as well. And so I've got things to do. Also as well, just to remind you that the Northern Soul show that was on yesterday, that gets repeated tonight at 7 o'clock on Beats Radio. .co.uk. It's the ambassador for Wigan's playlist, Wiggy Winstanley, who at the moment is very poorly at the moment over there in Limassol. We're all rooting for you, buddy. We need you to pull through because we can't find a replacement for the ambassadorship over there at the moment. And hopefully you're going to pull through, buddy. Anyway, your playlist is being played again today, and I'm going to do a second part to that playlist because it was a flipping long one. That's all I'll say, and I'll be making that today ready for next week as well. Right, that's it from me. You have a good day wherever you are. I'll keep my ear to the ground, and if I hear anything, I'll make sure I'll let you know. And once again, thank you for all those people tuning in. And please, on the YouTube channel, could you please like and subscribe if you haven't already done so? I'm just trying to build that little channel. And it's also a great place to go and see all the archived pod broadcasts, and you can check them there and look at how things have changed since I started doing it last year. All right, you take care, have a great one, and I'll see you soon. Ta-ra.